What's going on, everybody? Thanks for coming back and checking out the channel. It's been a while since I've posted any updates, and I've been kind of holding off on making any videos until I got this truck a little bit further along. I'm kind of sick of making the same video over and over, talking about the same type of items, but there's things that happen in between all the videos that maybe either I change my mind on, go back and do something a little bit differently, or make something new that wasn't in the previous videos, and it's completely out of sequence. I apologize, but that's how my life is. So you're getting to see everything kind of be built in real time. So if you kind of get confused as why did I do this and that, it's because that's just how my life happened that way. It's not like I sat down and thought it'd be a great idea to paint the frame and then strip it all off and then repaint it a second time. But that's what happened because, just make a long story short, the paint I used wasn't the right paint, on top of it being not prepped properly, and just a series of things that happened throughout the process where I'm just like, I've come this far. I definitely don't want to screw up at this final step and then make all this hard work just go to shit because I didn't properly prep the frame and make sure that the paint was going to stick and prevent corrosion and all that fun stuff. So with that out of the way, let's talk about what I got done, some things I ran into, and some things that if you're going to try to swap, you might want to consider just preventing running into this kind of trap that I've ran into. So one thing that, starting up here in the front, that I want to talk about is these plates. Now, this is the BDS kit, which I've said 1,000 times, but if anyone didn't see the other videos, the BDS 4-link kit. And these brackets come with it, and even with all the hardware, you got to drill a couple of the bolts, but we're not talking about it in this video. Now, one thing on this side that I noticed when I went to install it, and I somewhat addressed it, was that right here, this bracket and this weld sort of collide, which makes the bracket kind of sit unflush against the frame, which I sort of nipped it off with a grinder wheel, which was kind of not the right way to do it, but I was in a rush, and now I'm still in a rush, but I want to go back and maybe clean it up a little bit. And also, what I was doing in the later brackets, like the ones in the back, was I was taking some Ford RTV silicone and putting it between the frame and the bracket, so when it squished down, it made a pretty much a watertight seal between the frame and the bracket, so that way no dirt, dust, mud can get between the bracket and the frame. And it kind of, paint can only do so much, but silicone, it gets all over everything. So, and if you do use it, you put too much, and just let it dry up, and then you can just rip it right off with a razor knife. You don't have to go sanding it or wiping it with a rag. You're only going to make it worse. But I didn't put any silicone on these brackets in the front, so I'm definitely going to take those off and address that and clean up that edge a little bit more. It needs to be off on that just a little bit more, and I don't know, maybe I prep the frame and paint it before putting them back on. Maybe I don't. We'll see. And then same with the buckets. I got to get those off, and I'm not going to paint those. Those are powder coated. I may do something different on the inside with some kind of liner at the very end, but later video, later idea. Currently, I didn't notice it when I put it on the first time, but now that I have everything cleaned up, it's clear to me that that bracket is not sitting completely flush. As you can see, it's hitting that weld, and down here it's kind of the same deal. It is not completely it's wrong camera angle, sorry guys. I don't know, you can't really see it, but it's definitely not sitting flush right here. So I'm going to pull that off, clean up that edge a little bit better, make that bracket sit flush, put some RTV silicone behind it, give it the business. So that was that. So I got the gussets welded in. That came out pretty good. Prep, go slow, make sure you don't overheat it. You had to do a couple trimming spots here and there, but nothing too crazy on the bracket itself, not on the frame. And then that went in, no big deal, just kind of welded up. And these, okay, so one thing I wanted to talk about in the back real quick. These are the stupid Carlisle shock absorber brackets. Now, I'm going from an 03 to a 2016 axle, so I think it's an 08 plus axle, is what you would call it. So my shock mounts were both on the same side. So these brackets are actually not meant for an 03, for an 05 only, but 05 into something else. But there's two versions of them that they sell, and I bought the later year version originally, which was not the right set for me. And then I'm an idiot, and I bought the right version, but unfortunately, when I say right version, it's the 05 whatever, and they still don't fit. And now, it's hard to explain how I'm going to say this. Now, these brackets on the later year version, they're the same bracket, and the earlier, they're two different, but they are the same, and I'll show you what I mean. And then they just don't fit inside of here. So even the top two holes will line up. If you gotta oversize the hole to what is like a 9/16 or whatever, but the bottom two holes are not gonna line up at all, and it's not gonna fit in here and towards your frame at all. You gotta do a lot of finessing in order to get that to work out. And I will keep you updated on what I do, how to finish that all off, but just know that that back one is going to take a serious amount of finessing to get that to fit in there. I'm not 100% happy with it. Just going to rock with it. It's something that I can figure out later on. I just don't know why it doesn't fit in this frame, and what's different on the later frames that allows it to clear. I don't think it fits in the later frames, but regardless, and then the other bracket that comes with it. So in the earlier edition, and you know what, I should be able to find the paper, it's over here, and what I keep referring to is Carly. They show you right here on the paper that there's an 05 to 07 and an 08 to 16, and they say on there that the 05, 07 models have two different brackets, where the 08 to 16 have the same thing. The other bracket they're talking about, the only different one is this one. So currently I have two of the same bracket, and you don't have to really worry about that. I don't even bother showing you. But in either case, this bracket right here is different. It's more slanted, and the mounting location of this is actually kind of tricky. So in the next video, I'll be talking about kind of how I end up getting the mounting location figured out on this other side, because you have to flip the whole bracket. And not to mention, the angle is going to be more vertical, less diagonal than that bracket. But I'm happy with where that bracket's at. I just got to get the holes figured out, and then I'm going to make an indexing plate to mark these holes out and get that bracket drilled in, which you'll see in a later video. But other than that, sorry for the kind of half-assed videos I put out, but I'm just trying to make everything sort of happen instead of making videos. And I guess the last fun thing I wanted to talk about is this plate that I built, and we'll talk about that plate. And if anybody is interested in getting one, there may be a situation where I make these plates for people, so that way, if you want to reinforce your steering box, it may be an option for you. Thank you.